Hello and welcome to a very special Subsea Expo 2024 edition of Energy Voice Out Loud, where we are still leading the global energy conversation, this time with Global Underwater Hub's Steve Fernie. How are you doing today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks very much. Yeah, it's going well so far.
Yeah, I was just actually about to ask you, it's day two. We've already had a full action-packed day of Subsea Expo where we're navigating the blue frontier. How's things been going?
It's been good. It's been this is the second year that I've been involved with GUH and kind of been involved to an extent in putting this together. I've had a lot of coming here as a visitor for the last few years as well, so it's always a good event. There's a lot of events in the year. This is always one that's got particular focus on underwater, and therefore we get a lot of focus on that and good footfall as well so far.
Yeah, and speaking of good focus, I think before the event we were targeting 6,000. I think that was round about what we got last year as well. How's that stacking up?
Yeah, it looks like the same. We're kind of expecting the same sort of numbers again. Great number of exhibitors and good conference sessions as well, and I think that helps to attract people, definitely.
Good. And like I say, second day, so we've already had a day of talking points, a day of industry voicing their opinions. What have the key points been that you've picked up on?
So I think a lot of the exhibition and the conference is about what's the supply capability. One session we actually had yesterday was looking at what do the markets look like. We talk about navigating this blue frontier, all the markets that make that up. What do they all look like in isolation? And that looks encouraging. There's a lot of opportunity out there. Certainly there's some challenges there as well. There's kind of realism on what's possible and what's actually probable. So no, I think there's definitely optimism. And as we always kind of champion the fact that the underwater sectors are really where we can be competitive. I think that's shown in what's been exhibited here.
A lot of optimism, but I think we've all seen the headlines over the past couple of weeks. There's a lot of political uncertainty that's come up, specifically within the energy sector, regarding Labour's plans and what's happening following that general election that is looming. Is that something that's sort of being picked up on the show floor?
I think we carried out a business survey last year, and one of the questions we asked was, we looked at capacity, capability, and confidence. And confidence is one of the big areas. If you're going to invest or if you're going to move forward, you need to have confidence of when some of these projects are going to happen. And there's quite a lot of aspects that affect confidence there, in terms of, are projects going to happen at these particular times? Where are they going to happen? All these sorts of things that are, happening throughout the world as well. Whether it's political, whether it's financial, whether it's geographical, all affect some companies' confidence. I think it all does have some sort of effect, yeah.
And cycling back to the upcoming general election, was there always going to be a level of uncertainty, waiting to see if the government's going to change up, or is the sort of the headlines over the past couple of weeks exacerbating that issue?
I think it's not even necessarily just the UK. There was one of the sessions yesterday talked about the fact that I think this year 50% of the global population takes part in an election at some point. And particularly when you've got companies here that are involved in global opportunities, there's going to be elections all around the world that are going to have some sort of effect on what projects look like and what's in favour and what's not. So I think we'll call it dynamic. Is probably the best description.
Fair dues. And I've hammered you on politics a bit much now, but on the show floor, is there anything else that you've seen, like any new exhibitors that are really exciting this year? I
think what's interesting for us is we talk about diversification, we talk about being active in one market and how that's transferable across into another, and we've got some exhibitors who actually aren't necessarily primarily focused on oil and gas or offshore wind or renewables. It's in areas like aquaculture, for example. Speaking to somebody yesterday, and they're key in that market and actually looking to move across into energy. So it's not necessarily looking to transfer from energy into something else. There's an appetite to move into that as well. So this idea of diversification and where your product or service can be applied to multiple other markets is definitely a very active conversation.
Creating a nice cross-play between industries here. And with you opening new offices in England as well, it was two. Does that mean to say you can bring this type of event down south as well, and maybe sort of expand the impact of this type of thing?
Yeah, that's very much the aim of the hub. We've obviously headquartered up in Aberdeen. We opened in Newcastle last year. Just recently opened down in Bristol as well. And I think that reflects that there's within that underwater area there's a sub-focus of different kind of areas, whether it's in defence or marine science or offshore wind or other energies, different focuses in different parts of the UK. So that allows us to have particular events or kind of take our message, take our events around the UK as well and get to a wider audience, essentially.
And, we're just at the very start of the second day. It's a 3-day event.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to for the rest of the Subsea Expo 2024?
For me, I think it's about these conversations. It's about understanding. We looked at demand yesterday. We're looking at diversification. We're looking particularly at floating offshore wind this afternoon. We have a big part of Foresee Your Future, the sort of skills side tomorrow as well. It's looking at all these elements that are going to make this market a success, whether that's people, products, services, opportunity there. What we really want people to do when they come to Subsea Expo is to kind of have those conversations and go away with a sense of optimism, sense of excitement. There's certainly opportunity there. As I said before, there's challenges, there's road bumps, but to get a bit of realism and understand that and certainly be optimistic about the future, I'd hope.
And is the optimism in the room? Do you feel that today?
I think so. I think there's a good buzz, definitely. I think there's again, we look at these markets in isolation, and they're all pointing in the right direction. There's demand in oil and gas. There's demand in wind, even subsea telecoms, for example. It's about getting them to actually fruition, getting these things in the water, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do here.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Steve, for joining us.
My pleasure.
That does it for us today at Subsea Expo 2024. If you'd like to stay up to date with all the comings and goings from the show floor, or just stay part of that global energy conversation, stay tuned to Energy Voice Out Loud.
Out Loud is the podcast from Energy Voice, leading the global energy conversation. Bookmark and subscribe to energyvoice.com, sign up to our newsletter, and follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter for expert analysis and insight right across the energy sector. Subscribe to Out Loud on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and please do encourage colleagues and friends to listen to Out Loud too. If you've enjoyed it, leaving a rating or review, especially on Apple Podcasts, helps others discover it too. Thank you.